What's up, guys? This is Omfugaa. I uploaded here once before, and I like ProjectMoshPit. I think it's a good community, so I decided to upload again. I asked Joey, and I decided, because I upload live PO pretty often, that I might as well give you a live battle. And because live PO might be boring for some people, I figure live showdown is a lot better for a lot of people because they like seeing the animation. But if you go to my channel, I will probably start uploading showdown, and I do live PO. So, yep, pretty much looking at the teams, I have a physically defensive Sand Slash. I like it over Claydol because it has more attack, which is the least important thing. It has the psychic typing doesn't hinder it, which is the second least important thing. And the most important thing is that I prefer the physically defensive Claydol rather than specially defensive. And I think Sand Slash is just a better physically defensive Claydol, which is why I don't understand why people run physically defensive Claydol. But, yeah. So pretty much Raikou. Oh, but yeah, the base 100 attack is pretty useful for 4 EVs in attack with Earthquake. Does some good damage to things. Specs Raikou will be able to Volt Switch all over his team, which is great. And, yeah, I'm known for running a Stealth Rocker and 5 choice Pokemon. Scarf, Darmanitan, Jolly, so I can outspeed everything. This is going to be a threat, too. It OHKOs this, and this. It OHKOs 4 of his Pokemon with Flare Blitz and 5 of his Pokemon with any move. So yeah, that's gonna be really important. Blastoise is looking to be the biggest problem on his team, but I can always switch in Raikou on it, plus I'll always get the momentum. Escavalier is just the standard choice banded set. Togekiss is actually Specs with Tri-Attack rather than Trick or Aura Sphere. I know Smogon suggests Aura Sphere on Togekiss, but honestly it's just inferior to Fire Blast. And Specs Slowbro with Grass Knot over Trick. Probably a standard Bronzong. Not going to be too problematic. Especially if I lead off with Togekiss and he leads off with it, I can definitely trick it. Not trick it, like trick it a choice Specs, like go for a Fire Blast. And if he's the standard physically defensive set, I OHKO. And it pretty much ruins the stall aspect of his team. He has Raikou, Sub-Calm Mind, probably just based off the rest of his team. And I hate Sub-Calm Mind Raikou with a passion. But he has Roserade as well. Probably gonna set up spikes. Blastoise is a spinner. This is definitely looking like a stallish team. Chandelure is a spin blocker, and Heracross is just a Moxie Scarf Revenge Killer, so his team is very threatening. But I'm just gonna really hope he leads off with Bronzong and lead off with my Togekiss, but unfortunately for me, he leads off with Roserade. I know the initial switches with Spike's Roserade into Togekiss are going to be Bronzong or Raikou, in which case I want to catch either of those with the Fire Blast, plus it does more damage to Roserade than Air Slash would. But unfortunately, I don't get the flinch chance that the other move provides, so now that he knows I'm Specs, I'm thinking he's going to switch into his Chandelure. So I'm going to go into Darmanitan, as he does just switch into Chandelure, and here, I'm going to make a bit of a risky play, and I'm just going to go for a U-turn. I was gonna Flare Blitz, predicting the Bronzong switch. Oh, I should have Flare Blitzed, but then his Chandelure would have been able to revenge kill one of my Pokemon because my team is moderately weak to Chandelure. But here, I'm just gonna go into this. He does have Blastoise left as a spinner, but I do want Stealth Rocks up, just so his Roserade can't switch in. Oh, and his Bronzong turns out to be a Reflect set. So here I'm gonna go into Togekiss. He goes for a Light Screen, but I know that I can stall out his screens with the Air Slash. This might not be a good play, but I think by the time his Light Screen wears off, here I'm going to predict his double switch. I'm just going to switch into this thing, predicting his double switch into Raikou, because Raikou is just threatening to my whole team, but I'm not even sure if a Flare Blitz can do that much to Raikou with the Reflect Up. It'll definitely do at least like 60%. But that's not enough. I want more damage. So here I'm just gonna go for I'm just gonna U-turn because if he stays in, he's probably gonna Earthquake. In which case I can bring in my Sand Slash. Because I have the Stealth Rocks up, bringing in the Chandelure would not be the best looking of plays. But he just fodders out his Bronzong with an Explosion. I'm glad I stalled out a few turns of screens. He switches into Roserade, forgetting the Stealth Rocks. and that is great. It will not be, or maybe thinking he could live the Stealth Rock switch in, but now he brings in his Blastoise. I know he's just going to spin them away, so I'm going to go for, or I'm hoping he would just spin, I was hoping he would just spin them away, so I was going to go for a Rapid Spin, but unfortunately, that is not the case. Because he set up the Reflect first, I can just go into Togekiss and attempt to flinch him until the Reflect dies off, but I'm just going to go into Raikou. His whole team from this point is weak to Thunderbolt, so, and Volt Switch, except for Raikou, but his whole team the whole time had no immunities, so that was always great. I'm thinking after Stealth Rocks and a Volt Switch, his Raikou will still be able to slightly live a Flare Blitz, so that's not what I want to go for. I'm going to Volt Switch into Slowbro, giving myself the mentality that I am safe because he can't do anything to Slowbro, and then once his Reflect, I'm going to go for this Psyshock, because it hits everything on his team hard except for Blastoise. Either A, doing damage to something on his team, or B, making his Blastoise stay in. And I want his, excuse me, alright, I'm back. So, I want his Blastoise to stay in until the Reflect wears off. That way I can double switch to my Raikou, get both the screens out of the way, and get the momentum. But he might have predicted this, or he might have just wanted to get rid of my my Slowbro because he goes for a Roar. But I am fine with that because I can go back to Slowbro knowing he's going to Scald this time. And I can go for a Grass Knot. But yeah, that's just what I'm gonna do. It seems like the most strategic play at this point. I'm just going to go for a Grass Knot as he goes for another Roar. If he brings in Heracross, I'm not sure if I want to make the obvious play with Darmanitan. Because I don't have Stealth Rocks up, Chandelure can easily switch in, which is definitely going to be a problem. But he goes into Raikou. I know if he sub-Calm Mind, he's going to go for a sub right here, which is going to be really bad. Excuse me. So I'm just going to go for a Grass Knot. This thing can really wreak havoc on my team. So, he goes for a Calm Mind. I'm fine with that. I really appreciate the fact that he went for that. Not appreciate it, but here I think he's just going to finish me off with the Thunderbolt, and there's nothing I really want to do about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to U-turn with Darmanitan, then if he stays in, if he switches out I get the momentum, and if he stays in, then, well, what percentage is that? No. If he switches out to Chandelure, that could be really bad, but here I'm just going to go for a U-turn, and based on that damage, I'm just going to fodder out Togekiss. Based on that damage, I know a Rock Slide can kill him off. Then he's going to be forced to switch into his Heracross, and it's going to be all up to prediction from there, honestly. So, I'm going to go back into Darmanitan, and I've been aggressively predicting all game, so I'm not sure. Oh, he brings in his Heracross. That's great. I can finish off his whole team with Rock Slide from here, and that will be a sweep. What he should have done is left it up to prediction by foddering out his Raikou, going into Heracross, threatening me out with a super effective move, and then I would have had to fodder one of these two, assuming he's Scarf. No, I would have had to fodder out one of these two. Then, it would have been a double down, I think. No, well, then I would have had to bring in Darmanitan, unless he wasn't Scarf, because if he finished off my Escavalier, I would know he wasn't Scarf, which because I would bring in Raikou. So, my win would have depended on if his Heracross was Scarf or not, but either way, he should have stayed in with Raikou, because it would have been up to my Darmanitan against his Heracross, whether I should have Rock Slided, predicting his Chandelure double switch, or Flare Blitz, predicting him to stay in, and then switched back out and switched back in, and then went for another Rock Slide. If you didn't understand that, I'm sorry, but as long as I hit the rest of my Rock Slides, I should win this game. And it doesn't really matter either way, because this was a really good game regardless of who wins. So, yeah, that'll be the match. He's going to go into a Chandelure. I think Chandelure might be able to live. I think it has a chance to, and I have killed them before. Yep, it does kill. So here, now that Raikou's his last one, what I'm just going to do is I'm going to go into my own Raikou, because I don't want to risk that missing. So here he just goes for a Thunderbolt. No need to predict something that complex. Like, I wouldn't predict it at least. So because I would have thought I lost at that point. I'm just gonna go for an extra sensory. It doesn't really matter if he outspeeds me next turn or not, because I'm just gonna finish him off with Darmanitan. And finally, I jumped to number 14 on the ladder, looking for one good match, and this is the first one I've had all day. Two well-constructed teams, in my opinion. I think 5 choice Pokemon and a Stealth Rocker can work if you use the right Pokemon in the other 5 spots. And that is a great game by iGlide. If you liked it, leave a like, and come check out my channel, please. And thanks for watching. Bye.